Right, g'day fishos. Okay, right, the last video I put up, I was fishing down, we're in a cove for squid, and I showed you my float fishing rig for squid, which I never used because I got too involved with my squid jig, but I did catch a couple. Anyway, I showed you a sliding knot, what I was using on that float rig, so I'm going to show you how to tie it. It's a very handy knot to have in your arsenal for fishing. It's a good knot to know. It's not a hard knot to tie, it's quite easy actually. I was taught it when I was probably, I think, 13 or 14 years old. My dad taught me it when we went back to England and I was doing a bit of course fishing for a couple of years, and then we came back here. Yay! Anyway, right. When you go float fishing and you're fishing shallow water, you might, you might use a float with a swivel attached at either end of a piece of line in the middle of that float. This is a cigar float. And then you have your tracer line below and your main line attached to the top. Okay, so that's one way you can attach your float. The other way you might use is the way I used for Tommy rough fishing. You might slide a float stopper up your line, then you would slide your float up your line, then another float stopper, and fix your float on the line at whatever depth you want to fish at. Anyway, the sliding knot is very useful because you can fish a lot deeper than your fishing rod, and if you're going to set a float on your line deeper than your fishing rod, it's going to be pretty hard to cast. So that's where a sliding knot comes into play. So I'll just show you how to tie it. Firstly, we need to cut, this is 25-pound nylon line on my squidder. If you've got braid, obviously you're going to need, if you're going to be fishing over depth, you're going to need to tie a tracer nylon, over the depth you're going to be fishing at. So if you're going to be fishing 20 foot deep, you want to tie a tracer line at least 30 foot long for the sliding knot to be used. Right, so it's good to use a leader anyway. Anyway, firstly we'll cut off a piece of line, about that long, should be fine. 30 centimeters. 12 inches. It's just enough to have a hold of. Right, you're gonna double the line over. Simply double it over. Then you just get your main line, there it is, and lie that loop along the side of your main line. Then get one tag end of that looped line, right? Hold the other one next to your line like so. Get this tag end and just wrap it around 5 times. 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's that. So you got that wrapped down your line, and then just get that tag end and just go back through that loop, and that is it. Now just carefully, both tag ends, okay, there you go, you can see that, I hope you can. Just pull them, just nice and easy. Go about that far, little bit of, El Spitto, right, and just finish it off. Pull it nice and tight, not mega tight, but nice and tight, right, that's tight. Now you can just push each side with your finger, pull it a bit more, and that's it. Just snip off them tag ends a bit. Well, firstly, just have a slide of it by lubricate your line. Don't try and slide it without lubrication, or you might burn your line. So let's see how it goes. Oh yeah, that's lovely. Not too loose, not too tight. And don't slide it in a hurry either, because you might burn your line. Alright, that one's on the line. Now you can snip off these tag ends. You don't have to snip them off all the way. It'll still cast through the eyes of your rod. So go about there. Okay, there you go. Now that's totally adjustable. Now if it needs tightening, if it comes loose a bit while you're fishing, just hold one end, grab one end with your teeth, and a bit of a tight like that. You can do it on both sides, and you'll find that will snug it up a bit. That is tighter again now. Okay, so then you can slide your float on. Floats on. Now, if you did want to fix that float, simply tie another knot, another sliding knot on the other side, and then you've got the same setup as your two swivels, but you haven't had to break your main line, so that is stronger because you've got no knots on your line. So that's great. Okay, these are all the other floats you can use. Well, that's your normal squid float, that's your cigar float, a little weighted bobby cork float, a big burley spring like gar float. I think that comes off. Yep, see, fill that with burley, put your top back on. Well, that slides up your line obviously. Yeah, that can be on there, fished deep. Or you've got that weighted type cigar float. Okay, I'll just show you this. This is my float box. My dad made me this. It's come from England. Got a few floats in here. I got some floats in here what I've had since I was when we went back 13, 14 years old. So they're pretty old. Anyway, this is a proper sliding float. This is what you would use on like 4-pound line, 3-pound line, 6-pound line even. Very small eye, because it's only fine line, and then you tie the same weight line onto your line to stop that, you know, from just the same as the squid float, stop it from going any further. So yeah, the sliding knot originates from coarse fishing, another word for freshwater fishing, or coarse fish. Coarse fish are freshwater fish. Plus, if you went brim fishing, like this is 8-pound line, you could like get a trace of 8-pound line, you know, tie your hook on the end like you do for brim, and get a piece of 25-pound line, tie a sliding knot onto there rather than a split shot or a swivel. But you can't really slide it to adjust it, so make sure you got the same length like you would if you have a swivel, because if you slide 25-pound line on 6-pound line, it kinks it up, and that's not good. It's probably still okay, but it's not the sort of thing you want to do with light line. Easy knot to tie, and yeah, very handy if you want to fish over depth. If you go on a jetty fishing for squid with a float, you can fish 20 foot deep. Get that squid bait down in the bottom. Alright, I'll see you fishing next time somewhere. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like if you like. But it'd be nice if you subscribed. Hit that subscribe button. Alright, see you guys.